Over 40 ancient shipwrecks were recently found in the Black Sea, some with designs you've only ever seen in history books. A sunny day at the beach turned deadly when 2 sea mines exploded, and buried 6,500 feet down, a 2,400-year-old Greek trading ship was discovered. The oldest intact shipwreck ever found. These are disturbing things found at the bottom of the Black Sea. A team of researchers out in the Black Sea were supposed to be studying how rising sea levels after the last ice age affected ancient coastal areas. Instead, they ended up finding over 40 ancient shipwrecks, all just sitting there, perfectly preserved in the pitch black water. John Adams, the lead investigator, admitted the discovery was a, quote, complete bonus, because they weren't even looking for ships. The work was part of the University of Southampton's Black Sea Maritime Archaeology project, which had been mapping the seabed in Bulgarian waters when the wrecks started showing up on their scans. And we're not talking about a few, old planks here. These vessels range from the Byzantine era ships to Ottoman trading vessels, and some designs had never been seen before, outside of history books, drawings. That's amazing. Thanks to the Black Sea's oxygen-free conditions below 150 meters, the wood, rigging, even coils of rope are still mostly intact. As Adams explained, this environment has basically, quote, frozen these ships in time. One standout is a 17th to 19th century Ottoman ship, nicknamed the Flower of the Black Sea because of its intricate carvings, including posts topped with petal designs. Using high-tech 3D imaging and remotely operated vehicles, the team has been able to study every detail of this ship graveyard without damaging the wrecks any further, that is. Technically they're all damaged because they're sitting at the bottom of the sea, but you know what I mean. This just happened a little over a week ago, so a sunny day at the beach turned into a nightmare when 2 sea mines exploded near the popular Ukrainian resort town of Zatoka. It happened around 11:30 a.m., right in the middle of the tourist rush, and left at least 3 people dead, a woman and 2 men who'd been swimming about 50 meters from the shore. Odessa Regional Chief Ola Kuiper said all of them have been killed by explosive devices while swimming in areas prohibited for recreation. The danger isn't new. The whole area, which includes Zatoka, has been off limits for swimming because of the risk of drifting mines, but some people are still taking the chance, and on this day, it ended in tragedy. After the blasts, footage showed stunned beachgoers standing silently along the sand, the water suddenly empty. Authorities have now launched a criminal case, calling it an accident for the moment, while bomb disposal crews are combing the shoreline for more mines. This isn't the first time this has happened either. Just 2 months ago, 2 men were killed by a mine in the same town. Ukrainian and Russian forces have littered the Black Sea with mines, but storms and currents keep tearing them loose, and some of them obviously end up drifting straight into tourist areas. In 2018, researchers working with the Black Sea Maritime Archaeology Project made a pretty wild discovery. It was a 2,400-year-old Greek trading ship sitting almost perfectly preserved on the sea floor. And this is nuts. The team says a small piece of wood from it was carbon dated, confirming it as the, quote, oldest intact shipwreck known to mankind. The ship dates back to around 400 BCE, when the Black Sea was a major trading route. The design matches ships you'd normally only see painted on Greek pottery, except obviously this one is real. It was found over 2,000 meters, about 6,500 feet deep, in water with no oxygen. That lack of oxygen is what kept the wood and other materials from rotting away all this time. Professor John Adams, the project's main investigator from the University of Southampton, said a ship surviving intact from the classical world lying in over 2 kilometers of water is something I would never have believed possible, end quote. The discovery was made during a 3-year survey that mapped the Black Sea floor using deep water cameras originally developed for offshore oil and gas work. Adams says it could, quote, change our understanding of shipbuilding and seafaring in the ancient world. So down in the eastern Aegean, right between Greece and Turkey, there's this archipelago called Fournoi, smack in the middle of ancient sea routes. Researchers starting from 2015 have been mapping underwater remains and ended up coming across more than 60 shipwrecks, entirely by surprise, right in waters they weren't originally targeting. Turns out Fournoi has basically become the ancient shipwreck capital of the world. In a 2018 survey alone, the team documented 58 shipwrecks, some dating back to the Greek, Roman, and Byzantine eras. One of the project leads, Dr. Peter Campbell, said, "The excitement is difficult to describe. I mean, it was just incredible. I would call it probably one of the top archaeological discoveries of the century." End quote. And the reasons behind so many wrecks, it's not that this place was cursed or anything, it's because of its spot on major trade routes, plus treacherous conditions, narrow passages, sudden mountain windstorms. It just spells disaster for ships. Last summer, grad student and underwater archaeologist Efren Casio found himself off the coast of Nesebar, Bulgaria. Flashlight on his wrist, dredge in hand, he started clearing away shells and sand, and then he saw it. The outline of something man-made. "We're about to witness something that's been lost in time and is about to be discovered again," he remembered thinking. It was the remains of a Greco-Roman fortress wall sitting just 300 feet from shore in about 12 feet of water. The team knew the fortress existed, but Acacio was the first to spot the wooden foundation buried under layers of sand and shells. He described his quote, "eureka moment" when the first piece, then another showed up, saying, "You dig more and you find another piece. Somebody built this with their hands thousands of years ago, and here it is in front of me. Absolutely amazing." Amazing indeed. I mean, how often do we get to actually be right up close and then touch something this ancient? For some of us, never. So this section of wall would have once stood as part of a coastal defense for ancient Nesebar, a major Black Sea port in its day. Back in 2020, archaeologists kicked off the first ever scientific underwater excavation in the Black Sea, and now we're finally seeing what they found. Turns out beneath the waves of Kerch, a small bay on Turkey's western Black Sea coast, there's an ancient harbor town that lasted an incredible 1500 years. In ancient Greek, Kerch was called kalpe, meaning pot or jug, a nod to how important this place was for trade. It was a very important pit stop for ships moving along the coast. The team started digging after finding the remains of an old pier. Diving about 260 feet from shore, in just 13 feet of water, they've recovered artifacts spread over half an acre. They've found amphorae, which are the iconic jars used to haul goods, along with ceramics, lamps, pipe fragments, and of course, remains of shipwrecks. Some pieces date back 2,400 years. Kosali, museum director Serkan Geduk, says the site is, quote, extremely valuable in terms of emphasizing the commercial relations between the East and the West from the Antiquity to the Ottoman period in the Black Sea. In 2000, a team of marine archaeologists led by Robert Ballard came across a Byzantine-era ship called the Sinop D off the coast of Sinop, Turkey, about 1,050 feet down. Dates back between 410 and 520 CE, but looks like it just sank yesterday, and that's again thanks to the Black Sea's oxygen-free water. The hull, the deck, even the mast, which is still about 36 feet tall, are all in pretty good shape considering that this is a shipwreck. Radiocarbon dating confirmed it's around 1,500 years old, and the level of preservation gives researchers a very rare peek at how ships were built back then and what life on board might have looked like. Robert Ballard himself has called it a, quote, remarkable snapshot in maritime history. Even small details, like how the wood was joined, how the deck was structured, it's all still there, which is almost unheard of for a ship this old. And just a little west of Sinop, researchers discovered 3 more ancient shipwrecks about 330 feet down. 2 of them date back to the late Roman period between the 2nd and 4th centuries CE. The other is Byzantine, somewhere around the 5th to 7th century CE. What's wild is how much of these wrecks reveal about life on board, from the way the ships were built to how cargo is packed for long journeys. Some of the ships still show the original layout of the hulls, and archaeologists can even make educated guesses about the types of goods that were being traded. One of the Roman-era vessels, for example, had traces of jugs that probably carried wine or olive oil. The Byzantine one looked like it was carrying imports like ceramics. And next on the list, we have a sea monster, because every body of water has to have its own sea monster. For the Black Sea, it's the Black Sea Sea Serpent. So it doesn't roll off the tongue all that easy, but at least it gets the point across. Its physical description and the location, it's all in the title. Reports of large sea monsters in the Black Sea have been circulating ever since the 1700s. There are a few different types. The largest is about 130 feet long with a serpentine body and silvery skin. Others have described a slightly smaller creature around 100 feet long with dark greenish brown skin. And then there's the 50-foot creatures with the same long serpentine bodies. These ones also have fins. So it's not clear if these are all the same species or if there are multiple different creatures lurking in the murky waters of the Black Sea. On November 11th of 2007, the Kerch Strait, a narrow waterway connecting the Sea of Azov to the Black Sea, was hit by a powerful storm. A crazy storm hit the area, and amid all the chaos, a Russian tanker broke apart. It was carrying 4,000 tons of fuel oil, and when it split, a bunch of that stuff spilled straight into the water. One crew member didn't make it, unfortunately. The spill was not just some patch of oil floating out there, it coated beaches, marshes and wetlands along both the Russian and Ukrainian coasts. Birds and fish were smothered, and fishing communities obviously got hit hard. Cleanup crews tried their best, but with oil spread across miles of coastline, it felt almost impossible to get a handle on it. Even today, the Kerch Strait incident is considered one of the worst oil spills in the Black Sea. I've been your host, James. I will catch you, yes you specifically, in the next video.